Welcome back to another episode of Hustle and Highlight. Today we have the beautiful Morgan Plascencia. How do I say
Plascencia.
Plascencia?
Yeah.
Not.
New,
I said it like
last name.
placenta. Plascencia. Got it.
There you
go.
It's stuck now. Yep.
You are basically a human form of sunshine.
Yes, that's exactly what she is.
Yeah. And the biggest hype girl anyone could ever have in their lives.
Yeah, if you want to try on clothes, do it in front of Morgan.
Yes.
She'll be honest.
I am honest. Yes. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about what you currently do, your journey. Give us like a brief about you.
Okay. I am a master mindset coach and a business coach. So I work with women that are feeling stuck, whether it's in business or in life, really. Through business coaching and mindset coaching, I found what you know, as women, everything is combined. There's not, we don't compartmentalize. So if we're struggling in our marriage or in parenting or in just any type of relationship or even past trauma, it will carry through to what we're trying to carry out as women. So I wound up getting other certifications in IFS and betrayal trauma and that kind of thing to help serve women better so that we can really do the mindset work, reframe, rewire, neurosculpt, and then just bang it out, get it done, show up completely different. I like to tell my clients they're getting ready for an evolution, but really like reinvention.
Oh,
You won't come out the same in a good way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. Yes.
So what's IFS? Like, what's the definition of that and what does that entail?
Yeah. It's internal family systems. And so in normal therapy, the modality used is typically CBT, so cognitive behavioral therapy, which I'm sure like any LMFT will use. Well, not any, but most. In that, when you go to the therapist or the counselor, they're the expert, right? Like you're going to them and you're super valuing their opinion. And you, in my opinion, lose yourself a little bit.
Yeah.
With IFS, you are the expert. So I'm just there to help you navigate your own waters through self-inquiry and realizing that we each have different sub-personality types. So, and you know this, I mean, you know how it is. You show up to work as, hairstylist Aaliyah or Amber, and then you go home and your mom, and then your wife or your, a daughter, a sister-in-law, whatever the case may be. We have all of these different sub parts of ourselves. So through IFS, you kind of work through what parts are showing up, what parts might need a little extra love, how we can help ourselves heal through things that we need to heal instead of necessarily looking to somebody else to walk us through that because nobody knows you better than you.
Right. I love that too
That's
because I feel like in therapy, they're, like you said, basically trying to give you the answers. But what you do is basically helping someone to, you're like leading them to their own answers, right? Like whatever is going to work best for them. You're not like, this is the tool you need and use this only.
Yeah, no.
So that's great.
Yeah, it's really in your hands. And it's great for eating disorders, addiction, trauma, because you're opening up the space for people to feel everything they need to feel. When you aren't taking it on your sub-personality of your, 7-year-old Aaliyah or Amber, like you give her more freedom to feel things than you would give yourself as an adult.
Right.
So you navigate things a little differently. We keep it open to it's okay to be angry. It's okay to be mad. It's okay to feel all the things that you're feeling. We don't shut anything down. We don't say no to behaviors. It's okay. You're doing this. Why are we doing this?
Yeah.
And we dive in a little bit deeper instead of just a slap on the wrist of don't.
Mm-hmm.
So typically, how would that work as far as like, you know how when people say shadow work and working through their past childhood traumas, things like that. Like, for example, for me, I don't remember a lot of my childhood and I feel like that's a trauma response, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So how would you navigate that?
It depends on the practitioner. For me,
Hypnosis?
for me personally, it would be I'm with my mindset background. Okay, it's okay if we don't remember.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to move, we're going to shake, we're going to see what comes up for us. And if those things come up, we'll navigate it when we do, but you can still make progress and heal and go through the motions without trying to dig it up. It's almost like the harder you try, the worse it gets.
Yeah.
The more you just exist. I tell my clients, and I think we all get stuck in this of we discover we have trauma or we discover we're not showing up the way we want to show up. And that usually happens in marriage or in parenting, right? Like big things in our life, in business even. And we start to hyperfixate on that. Like, we have to heal. I have to heal. I have to fix this. I have to fix this. Then that becomes your purpose. That's not your purpose.
Fixing.
Yeah. Healing and fixing is not your purpose. Your purpose is to live. And through living, you'll heal and you'll, figure it out. But that's the approach I take with my clients is we're here to experience, to live, to have joy. We don't need our universe to center around fixing, that thing or healing. It will come.
Yeah, I feel like that's such a big thing right now too, especially if you're scrolling on social media or something surface level like that. You always see like be a healer or like and us as women, I feel like we naturally are just like wanting to fix everything all the time.
Yes.
Like if there's a problem, we're the first on the line to be like, oh, we could fix that, or I could do this and make it better. Yeah. So it must be interesting to hear what would you say is the common thing people come to you for? Or is there anything that all of your clients have in common when it comes to reaching out to you for coaching?
There's a few. Yeah. And it's crazy because they never come to me for the reason they think they're coming to me.
Well,
which blows my mind.
Me.
Yeah.
That was me.
Yeah. They come to me and they lay it all out, and that's great. And I give them a couple calls to lay it all out. And then it's okay. Well, I think this is why you're really here. Mm-hmm. And then it's, okay.
Then you go down that road.
Yeah. Here we go. So I think a lot of women have a tremendous battle with limiting beliefs. A lot of human beings, right? But women, we experience it from every single angle.
Yeah.
And at some point along the line, we stop becoming the subject of our own lives. And by that, I don't mean it from a self-centered space of selfishness. I mean it from a space of you grow up and you get your friends, and your friends think this is the dream way to be. This is the way to dress. This is the way to look. This is the way to show up. This is the way to talk to people. This is the kind of car you have to drive. This is the color nails you need to have. All of a sudden, everything is for someone else, even if it's your mom. Mm-hmm. You just fit this mold. Mm-hmm. And so we start to limit ourselves in what we can do, what we want to do. We feel a tremendous amount of shame or guilt. And a lot of my clients come to me with that feeling of I'm just stuck. I don't feel motivated. Mm-hmm. I don't feel happy. I love my kids. I love my husband. I love my business. I feel stuck. And in that we start to work, and it goes a few different ways, but that's usually the reason for the call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. I mean, I feel like, you were my life coach essentially for like years. Yeah. And that was so life-changing in so many ways for me. And I need to get on the phone with you again.
I miss that.
SOS. But there was so many times where we'd be on a call and I would we'd start the call and I'd be like, okay, it's going to be a good one. And then it would end in tears, not in a bad way, but just because you get to like the root of the situation. And a lot of times it's not, of course, surface level. And we've been walking around this life thinking like, oh, this is normal. This is fine. This is this is the next step I'm supposed to do. But really it's not, it's not for... Like it wasn't for me. A lot of things that I thought I was supposed to be doing, weren't like normal or just weren't meant for me. And I would have never recognized that had I not hired you as my coach, which is so weird because I feel like first you were a client of mine, and then we were friends, and then you were my lifesaver. So
I love that.
So I feel like with our work together, that definitely opened my eyes to a lot of things. And even like your voice still is like stuck in my head a lot of the times. Most of the time it's when you would say, you can't fuck this up. Like I will literally be diving headfirst into something new and Morgan's voice will come in my head and be like, you can't fuck this up. I'm like, all right, we're going. Like we can't fuck it up.
Full send. We're not.
Even when you came by the salon, Amber had you come to the salon and kind of work with us as a team. And that was amazing.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
That was interesting. We should do that again.
We should definitely do that again. Like working at and seeing everyone's like different, thoughts and different like aspects on like a certain situation, I think it's really powerful, and it makes you work better as a team.
Yeah,
for sure.
totally. Yeah.
Well, and you guys, Amber, especially, you show up ready to work.
I like to think I do.
Yeah. Yeah, you got as far as you did because you show up ready to work. And as a coach, that's, all you can ask for, because some people show up and they pay a lot of money.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing about like anybody's job is like, if you don't have the work ethic, then like what else can we get? You can't, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you have to be willing to learn. I don't know. I feel like if you want to better yourself, your business, or your life in any way, you have to be ready to do the work. You can't just sit in the same spot and expect something to change, right?
We were just talking about this too. Is like, you can't expect another team member to have the same work ethic as you. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And that's hard too in choosing a team, I'm sure, or even like an assistant or things like that, because no one's you, and it is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can set the table, but you don't know that they're going to eat. You know what I mean? And that's frustrating. Yeah. It's really frustrating for sure. Yeah.
So what made you get into this line of work? Because you had Phoenix and Kate, that was online, like an online boutique. And then you opened up the storefront. And by the way, please do it again,
because we all miss you.
Because we don't know how to dress ourselves.
I'm ready to just open my garage and just
might as well.
And just have champagne with y'all every day.
Absolutely. Can we please? Yes. And then you kind of like worked into, you were doing both your coaching business and Phoenix and Kate, the boutique, for a while. And then now you're just doing this.
Yeah.
Which is, I'm sure it is so, when I sit back and I think about it, I'm like, wow, that must be so mentally exhausting. Or you have to be very aware of like the space you hold for your clients as well as yourself. Because damn. I'm sure some of the things you hear or deal with.
We take on a lot. Like we're like a human punching bag for like people that sit in our chair, like they call it therapy or whatever, all the things, to the where we're on our way home and we're just sitting in silence. Like, shit, did I just run that red light? Like, I could only imagine how you feel.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm ready for it. You guys aren't. You're just ready to make somebody feel beautiful. You're not ready for half the stuff.
Maybe we should be like doing some kind of morning something to get ready for that.
A little cleanse for yourselves, an anchor in your day.
Yes.
I fell into this, actually, like really didn't expect it. Phoenix and Kate, and retail so it was a women's boutique. We started online. I had a warehouse and shipped Canada and US, and it went really, really well, to the point that I decided to open an actual storefront. And you guys know because you were clients, but it wasn't a typical storefront because retail is a bitch. And my dad was a businessman. I grew up watching him, and I knew in retail you're shelling out a ton of money for, and we're in California, by the way. So your rent, your PG&E, your everything. And when I had worked retail in the past, you sit there and nobody comes through your door, and somebody was paying me per hour, paying to have the lights on, right? And me and my business mind, I was like, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense. If I open my door, I want to hear the cha-ching. Like, I'm not walking in for no reason. Not that I didn't love what I did, but also it's not charity. If it was, I'd be working with the homeless. This was different. So I decided to do it showroom style, where you had to book an appointment with me. You would pay a styling fee. So that way I knew I was opening the door. I already made $40-$50, right? So that covered my assistants hourly. And then, when they're in there and it's just you, part of the issues with retail goes away, because you're able to talk to the person. You're able to figure out what they're actually looking for. They're not embarrassed to try anything on because nobody's in there. If they need a different size and they have to peek out the curtain, nobody's husband's standing there waiting.
Right. So true.
It was very rare. And when I say very rare, I can count on one hand how many times someone left empty-handed.
Yeah.
Because it was a fun experience, and they actually felt good in the clothes and felt like they could get the right size. So in that, people started to see that Phoenix and Kate was really successful. There were some people that thought, oh, I'm just going to open retail and do it too. And it didn't go that way because it wasn't the same formula.
Right.
And then there were some that were trying to figure out the formula. I coached someone, helped them open a boutique in New York with the same format, and they're doing really well. But in that, people started asking me a lot of questions, asking me to mentor them with their business, even if it wasn't retail. And I started building a business coaching repertoire. And at first I wasn't charging because I was just helping people. And then my dad, may he rest, was like, where's the effing money? You know, like, what's going on? So I started to charge. And as I had mentioned earlier a little bit, I noticed these women with these business issues. It wasn't a business issue. It's a leadership issue. It's a relational issue. It's a confidence issue. It's not what it was presenting as. And so I realized I needed to beef up my certifications, got life coaching and then mindset, and here we are. But it developed that way. And I loved Phoenix and Kate so much. It was so much fun. It was the best.
We miss it.
But it just became where I'd be sitting in there so excited to go home and take my coaching calls.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'd feel this pull. And like you said, it is mentally exhausting. And so to be in the store and have to be, you know, fully present for my clients there, and then go home and have to be fully present for my clients there, and then fully present for my daughter, fully present for my husband. It was just your girl was running. It wasn't the best. I wasn't showing up as my best self for everyone. So I chose to let Phoenix and Kate go. And the time I knew I wanted another baby. And so it worked out because now I can work from home and be with Izzy, my 4-month-old, and have my business there, because otherwise I'd be schlepping her to unpack boxes and dress people.
Right.
And all the things. So, which I'm sure would have been fine, but it's just nice to be able to do everything I do and be fully present while I'm doing it.
I love that.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the ultimate goal, right?
Yeah.
To be,
Absolutely.
I mean, like, especially as a new mom, you want to be fully present with your brand new baby and not miss anything, right? And you only get those first 4 months one time.
Exactly.
You got to really
soak it in.
lean into it. Yeah, totally. Totally.
Yeah.
So if there was one piece of advice you can give, like a business owner who's struggling with maybe just anything, because I feel like you know what a lot of people truly struggle with, what would you tell someone who's like, man, I'm just struggling, I'm overwhelmed, I'm exhausted, like I feel like maybe this isn't for me, I'm losing myself, like what would you tell that person?
It would be a couple things. The first thing, my first piece of advice is always just slow down. Just slow the fuck down.
Yeah.
Just calm down, you know, because we tend to get this little thought and then all of a sudden it's this giant avalanche falling on us. And it's really simple. We could have just hired an assistant.
Right.
I'll have people call me with all these issues. And I had a client, and she's amazing. She's brilliant. She owns a couple of salons, and she was about to acquire her third, and she was freaking out. And 45 minutes into the call, I finally said, all right, well, how about we just don't take on the third? And she was like, oh, all right. How about that? She's like, yeah, actually, okay, like that would feel good. Okay, great. Bye.
Yeah.
Have a good day.
Yeah.
We just feel like we have to take so much on. So if you can take a beat, just center yourself. And I don't mean that in the woo-woo. You don't need to light incense, get a mat, and, put on meditation music. I mean, just take yourself to freaking Starbucks. Like, I don't care. Just calm down.
Right.
Just anchor yourself, calm down, take some deep breaths. What would feel good to you? And I've talked to you. I've done this with you. Is flip a coin.
Times.
Yeah, flip a coin. It sounds so silly, but here's what's going to happen. Whatever it lands on, you're going to feel something.
Right.
And if you feel good with what it landed on, there's your answer.
Right.
If you feel disappointed, there's your answer.
Yeah.
You know the answer. Why are we running circles around ourselves?
Right.
So just slow down. It's the first thing.
So essentially people already know what they want. They're just not being true to themselves or honest with themselves enough to live that out. Like you already know the answer.
Exactly.
It's like when you're doing eeny, meeny, miny, mo, you know which one you want to land
exactly.
on.
Yeah. 100%.
I was just telling Amber this the other day. I think we were on our way home from Walnut Creek. But I was saying, do you ever feel like like you have like a little tiny Aaliyah inside of you that's just like that like wants to get out, get me out of here. Like, but you're just like trying on the outside to just be calm and collected, but really you're like not dying inside, but you're like so overstimulated that you could scream and cry at the same time.
Yeah. And my answer was, every day.
Yeah. And it's like, because we wear all of these hats and we take all of this stuff on that it's overwhelming. It's just exhausting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you don't have to.
Yeah.
Right.
You can slow down.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's something we don't allow ourselves to do.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And then you're spinning out and you're trying to be everything to everybody. And what about being everything to your damn self?
Right. Right.
You know, we just forget. And things don't have to look a certain way. I mean, they just don't. And for some reason, we really think they do.
Right.
And that's just not the case. And you guys know you have little girls, you know, and someday you're going to see them chasing their tail, trying to be something that you're like, hold on, this, you know, this wasn't Callie, this wasn't Savvy, this isn't how they roll, this isn't what they want, you know?
Yeah.
And so have that same compassion and love for yourself. Just slow down.
Right. Yeah. I remember one thing you said to me in one of our coaching calls one time. You said, treat Amber like she's your best friend. Like, how would you treat her? And I'm like, oh, weird. Probably better than I actually treat myself. Like,
It changes everything when you think about it like that.
It does.
Yeah.
But just like the perspective that you put so many things in, it just clicks and makes sense. And it's so simple too. I think is like, I don't know if it's like a human response or just in the world we live in these days, we make so many things so much more complicated than they need to be.
Yeah.
Like it's really simple. Like life is really simple. Happiness is like pretty simple, but we make everything so complex and so complicated that it's like we don't allow ourselves to live in the simplicity and just to live in that happiness. You know what I mean? Which is really sad. But I feel like, what do you think that comes from? Do you think it comes from just like the lives we live and the influences we have? Or do you think it's like a social media thing? Do you think it's like a family thing? Like, is it all of the above? Like, what is it? Why do we overcomplicate things so unnecessarily?
Well, a few reasons. I think, and you've probably heard me say this before, if I give my clients homework, I'll be like, it's simple, but it's not easy.
Yes.
It's simple, but it's not easy.
I feel like you said that on every single one of our calls, honestly.
Yes. And unfortunately, we live in a world now where everything is relatively easy. I mean, if right now we collectively decided we all wanted burritos and margaritas, like we could just click, a button on our phone and it's here.
Right.
Like there's there's nothing in the way anymore. So I think a lot of times we overcomplicate things because our brains are bored. I mean, we're bored. Where's the problem solving or working for things anymore, right? For the most part. And I mean in the day-to-day life, not business and relational things. But I think a big part of it is just the instant gratification that we have. And I mean, I look at us, think about our kids. You know, if things are the way they are now for us and people are so bored with the mundane, right? And the mundane is really beautiful if you think about it.
Totally.
Like I was telling you guys before we started recording that just leaving my daughter this morning was so sad. And it is mundane. I change her diaper. We stare at each other.
You have like a routine.
Can't talk.
I love
We're literally just staring at each other. I'm reading touchy-feely books. Like what? Like that's not... You know, I'm not jumping out of planes.
But the simplicity is just bliss.
Yeah. And we're meant to have these interactions with our family, with each other. And I think that we overcomplicate so much because we no longer enjoy the little things or the simple things. It's like that doesn't make sense. And then everything is instant gratification anyway. So, you know, and things that are so easy, exactly what you're saying. We make so complicated, but the things that we're making complicated, it's not the complicated part.
Right.
Like I had a client who was saying, you know, well, this is awful. I have to go to the DMV and da-da-da. I'm like, what is so bad about the DMV? She's like, it's so stressful. And, you know, I'm like, okay, what's stressful about it? You get a number, you sit your ass down or you go to your car. They text you now. Like you don't even need to sit in there. Like, and you know, you are probably going to use that hour to scroll social media anyway. So just do it in your car in the DMV
Right,
instead.
right.
And then handle your business. You know,
Yeah.
like what's really stressful.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people just stress themselves out over having to do something that doesn't come with a click of a button. And it's like, that's really not that serious.
Yeah.
And we will go into fight or flight over it, like literally. You know, we will
nuts.
go into survival mode. Like we're being chased by a bear over, you know, dinner running late or something crazy.
Yeah.
It's just, we do, again.
I think that comes into relationships too, is like having help. You know what I mean? Because when you feel like you're taking all of these things on by yourself, then that's when overstimulation happens. And then that's when you obviously lash out or cry.
Or cry and scream.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. Absolutely. It's, and I think as women, we tend to take everything on and just not say anything.
Mm-hmm.
And
you need
somewhere,
help,
somewhere along the line, we thought that was feminine energy.
It's not.
It's not.
It's not.
Yeah, definitely not.
Feminine energy is actually not doing anything.
Like, you ever see those things? It's like you get a new piece of furniture and it comes in a box, and then your significant other or your husband, whatever it may be, is not home to help you. So you just say, fuck it and do it yourself.
Yes.
It's me every time.
Yeah. And that's okay. Like if you're excited and that's what you want to do. But I think we forget that our partners, or, you know, for me, the man in my life, I was a single mom for so long.
Yeah.
That, like a very long time. That and that's not to say Phoenix's father isn't involved. He is. It's just, you know, we didn't live together anymore. I was a single mom. And so when my husband now, when Tony came into my life, I just do things, and it's not because I don't think he's capable. It's just I am so used to this being my load and nobody there to help me.
Right.
And he really stepped in and was like, you're not letting me do anything. And I like doing these things.
Yeah.
And, you know, him even taking the trash out for him is like, okay, I'm contributing.
Yeah.
You know, and he does way more than that. It's just an example.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
So I think we forget that the men in our lives would like to be the men in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And we take that away a little bit because, you know, we just do it all.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes they may complain or be tired or that kind of thing, but we complain and we're tired too.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, but there's things that we bring to the table that we would be offended if they took away.
Totally.
You know, so learning that balance too, learning when to speak up. And that's something a lot of my clients struggle with is they either have zero boundaries, there's no boundaries, they have no voice, or they have 1 million boundaries that nobody can work around whatsoever. And they have such a strong voice that people can't work with them. So it's like the pendulum just keeps swinging.
Yeah.
And we have a really hard time finding that blend in the middle.
Yeah. Like a happy medium, which probably looks different for everybody.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It does. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you explain, because this is something we talked about in my coaching calls a lot, the actual difference between masculine and feminine energy, because it's not all just like a physical sense, obviously. Can you kind of riff on that a little bit? Because that's something we worked on a lot.
Yeah.
Which I probably use again.
We did.
Refresh my memory, please.
Yeah.
And I want to start by saying I'm Christian. So when I speak about these things, I speak from a biblical perspective. I'm not, you know, and some people believe different, and that's fine, but this is where I'm coming from, right? So I think we get lost in, and you can get on TikTok and plug it in, and it's hilarious. Like the things that come up for feminine energy, like it's wild. Like wear white, okay? You're killing it. Like have red nails, or wear red lipstick, or do your hair this way.
Yeah,
or,
that's what I
like,
mean. The physical sense
like
of it
that.
is not it.
No, and what's feminine about specifically doing something to try to attract something? That is literally the opposite of what feminine energy is. Feminine energy is just being, like just be you, just relax, lean back. I think we did this on our calls. I'll tell my clients, wherever you are, lean back. Don't lean into me. If you're leaning to one side, if you're like, you know, like just sit back, put your palms up and just sit there for a minute and just tell me how that feels. Some people freak out because you can actually feel the difference. Like you can feel that you're receiving even just energy, because we're all just energy. And it's wild. Like if you can just sit and just open hand it feels insane. Like, practice that when you've done it before, but when you go home, like, just lay down, lean back, and put your palms up and just sit there, and you're like, whoa, I'm in this receiving energy. But that's money making energy.
Yes.
You have to be in that receiving energy, but just not doing. Don't be anything but yourself. And feminine's soft and demure. And I mean, sure, if that's who you are, then that's what that is.
Mm-hmm.
But some people have a really, big voice, or they like to laugh a lot, or they like to joke around a lot, or they like to share their opinion. That doesn't mean you're not feminine. That's fine. Just not pushing those things onto other people. That's where we cross the line. Or even, I did a story about this like years ago, because I noticed a lot of people like doing this, saying they're in their feminine energy, but like posting a ridiculous amount of thirst traps, like their booty out. They're like, and do your thing. If that's what makes you happy, that's fine. But if you're doing that and you're hoping, Brad and Chad are going to slide in your DMs
to marry you,
right? That's not feminine energy.
No.
Like, if you just really enjoy that and that's how you play and that's how you have fun, you will attract the right person.
Yeah.
But if you're doing it because you're hoping so and so notices, or
that is so ridiculous. I can't.
Yeah.
I have clients that dye their hair because their spouse has said he likes a certain hair color.
Oh, goodness,
or
like, what's best for
like
you?
that.
Like,
Yeah,
you're
hear
forgetting about yourself.
Yeah, we hear that a lot in this.
That's not feminine energy. You're
Right.
not being you. I mean, my husband, I think he dated all blondes before I came along, and I came along and he proposed in 90 days. You think I'm dyeing my hair blonde?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
No.
Well, obviously the blondes weren't working, so
I don't care. Like, this is me. This is what I like, you know? But that keeps me in my feminine energy, being true to myself, loving me for who I am and what I bring, and being open. And feminine energy is playful. Like, have fun. Like I said earlier, our purpose is not to heal. It isn't to fix. It isn't to do. Our purpose is to live, and through living, everything else comes. But if you aren't joyful, if you're not having joy in your day, it's really hard for that feminine energy to come through. Play around, like, enjoy yourself.
yeah.
What else you got? You know what I mean? It's not that serious. Nothing's that serious. Like you said, I used to always tell you, you can't fuck it up. You can't.
Where was she yesterday?
I know.
We were both way overstimulated. I said, "Hey, what are you doing?"
She was like, "Hi." I was like, "Hey," on text messages. I was waiting for something traumatic to come through, but she was like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm one mental breakdown away from checking into the psych ward. What are you doing?"
Same. Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
no,
it's
just
where
play.
we need help.
You need a vacation.
That's what I was just telling her. I said, next weekend, let's go to a spa and let's just relax, like a spa day.
Yeah.
Yes.
Zen out and just
Let me lay with my palms up, please.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because I literally, that's what I need. Yeah. What do you think? I don't want to say the problem. We talk about this a lot. What do you think is the cause of men these days not being masculine?
the fluoride in the water.
You aren't gonna like my answer. I'm gonna get
Like
like
conspiracy
people are
theory side
gonna slide in
comes
my
out.
DMs and hate me for.
I mean,
No.
We're the problem.
okay.
I mean, everywhere you go, there you are.
Right.
And a lot of the times, look, men lead in a relationship, right? Fair. That's true. Absolutely. But what we do is we forget our power in these situations. Have you seen My Big Fat Greek Wedding?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes.
She said the man's the head, but the woman's the neck.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Very true. Right? So when you show up and you're playing games, and this isn't to say everyone, but I think it's pretty fair to say most people, intentionally or not, we're not showing up as ourselves.
Right.
We're not being in our feminine energy. We're doing, and then we're confused about what happened to these guys. And yeah, social media plays a part. Like, yeah, the world isn't what it used to be. And yeah, there are unrealistic expectations on what a real woman is. I mean, we're not AI. We're not filtered. We're not, I mean, we can be if we want to be, but when we're at home in our sweatpants, it's not what's going on. And there's a little bit of a skewed view there. But for the most part, I mean, we have a responsibility. The women that are raising these men have a responsibility. And if you think back to like the 90s and, the men that we're dealing with now, a lot of women were in that, again, people are going to hate me, but like the boss babe, independent, I don't need anybody. Even if you had a husband at home, it was skewed that way, or it's skewed completely the opposite. Dad's in complete control and this is what I do. And there wasn't a good balance. And so we continue to carry that through. I mean, I think we are responsible ultimately for how, I want to be clear that there are outliers. There are abusive situations. There are personality disorders. There are addictions. There are outliers. But if we're talking about two healthy individuals in a relationship, the woman has a lot more to do with how the man shows up than we think.
Right.
And I have a friend of mine now where we're kind of in this little bit of a challenge with each other. So I had a client and I told her, what are you doing? How are you changing how you're showing up to see how he'll change? And she's like, well, that won't work. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do a little test. I'm going to do this myself. And I shared this with a friend of mine who's also a coach. And so I just changed the way I showed up with my husband for like a week. And I'm pretty happy. I'm a pretty upbeat partner anyway. But in my new mom era, it's like, sometimes I'm just really tired or maxed out, and my husband is a first responder. He'll be at work for 4 days. And sometimes, the baby's been crying. I haven't slept. I, don't have a shirt on. I'm running through the house. My dog's crapped on the carpet. Like, it's just a whole thing.
Yeah.
And I'll find my answers are like one word, and it's not like he works 9 to 5 and he can come home and see the shambles. Like, he's at work for 4 days.
Yeah.
So I realized this last shift, the way I was showing up and the way I was responding, and I put more effort in to what I was saying and went back to how I was when we first met. Because we bitch that the men don't show up the same way. Are you showing up the same way?
Yeah.
Because 9 times out of 10, we're not.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's not because we don't love them. It's not because we don't think they're the cutest thing in the world anymore. And same for them.
Right.
They feel the same way. They're just freaking tired. They got kids now. They got they're tired too. So I changed the way I showed up, and it was sweet because my husband didn't say anything. But when he came home, I asked him if he noticed anything, and he looked at me and he was like, "I didn't want to say anything." And but when I tell you the way he showed up was so different. He FaceTimed me more. He was asking tons of questions about my day. He started to show up the way he did in the beginning.
Right.
So, like a couple examples, how did you show up differently?
So I made sure that I was just joking around more like I used to. And that's me. That might not be other people. Other people might show up and ask other questions, or they may have done certain things. I sent pictures way more. And I don't mean like naughty pictures. I mean like what I was eating, what I was doing, just little things. And I had stopped doing that because I'm like, there's nothing interesting about this. I'm a new mom. I'm
like you're dating again, pretty much.
Yeah, I'm eating Greek yogurt. He doesn't care. I don't care if he doesn't care. Here's my Greek yogurt.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing. And this one may get mixed reviews from people. I'm speaking for myself. In my postpartum journey, a lot of things made me anxious and I was scared. My husband's a firefighter medic. So if the baby was like doing anything that freaked me out, I'd text him, oh my God, like she breathed this way and now everyone's dying. And, or I had a C-section. So as I was healing, I'd be like, my left side hurts more than my right. Oh my gosh, this hurts now. This means this. I was bringing him all these things because he'd make me feel better.
Right.
But in that kind of comes off a little complainy, right? Like you're not getting any texts from me unless my side hurts.
Right.
So I made sure that if I texted, it was positive. Like unless it was an emergency and something was really like clinically wrong and I was going to the ER, I wasn't going to tell him what was wrong.
Right.
If my head hurt, he doesn't need to know that. Like it's fine, everything. And not in a fake way of everything's gumdrops and lollipops, but in a way of I wanted to like bring some magic back of it's not just my wife is postpartum, because even when you're pregnant, everything's freaking hurting. So you're not a picnic to be around. And it's not your fault. And I'm not saying you shouldn't share your hurts and pains with your spouse, but I'm saying if you're able to, taper back and it's something that you could maybe leave out, leave it out. Put something positive in its place for a minute and see what happens, and enjoy your life. I mean, we went through a phase where my husband is involved in church, and so he does multiple small groups in the evening for the men's community. And like I said, he works 4 days. And so he was getting ready to go to a small group, and I hadn't seen him in like a week and a half. And ladies, when I tell you, I wanted to be like, you mother effer, you're leaving.
Yeah.
You haven't been home. I'm here with the baby. I made you dinner. I wanted to like just bitch and be mad. And instead, I asked him to go get me a bottle of wine. Like I said, men love it when you give them a really easy task. Like, so he went, he got me a bottle of wine, and he's like, yeah, why? I'm like, oh, I'm going to have a bottle of wine with dinner. You know, and my baby is at switching hours. She's screaming her head off. I didn't care. I put on music. I poured my wine. I was ready to go. I was like eating bread and like doing all the things that made me happy. And he's like lingering. And
he's like waiting for it. He's like,
I'm like, okay, like, do you want your plate now? Because he had asked me to make something specific. And he's like, you know what? I'm not going to go tonight. I'm going to stay here.
Love that for you.
Aww.
And I was like, oh, okay. Like, what? But why? Because I was having fun.
Yeah.
I was enjoying my night.
Yeah.
I was going to have my glass of wine. I was going to enjoy my dinner. Whether or not he was home, the baby screaming doesn't matter. I'm going to have fun. And of course you want to be around that. Like, why wouldn't you want to be around that?
Yeah.
You know? And so he stayed home and we had a lovely evening. But I think if I had been like, yeah, you know, passive aggressively, like, sure, go, you know, and then just.
He would have definitely went.
Yeah. Like, just kind of been in my mood and just like eating and didn't have music on or wasn't finding the joy in the moment anyway.
Well, that wouldn't have felt good for him or you.
Exactly.
So nobody wins.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we forget that. We do forget that. Nobody wins when we stay in those moods. And at least if you show up that way and somebody is still being an idiot or rude, you know you showed up. You know you brought your A game. You know you were enjoying. And it's the fake it till you make it's true with those things too. Like at first, I was angry. It was like, he's going to leave. I haven't seen this man in so long and he's going to leave me with the baby and And I was like, no, I'm just going to turn the music on. And after a couple of minutes, I was like, kind of bopping around the kitchen and then poured a glass of wine, like kind of begrudgingly.
Like forgot about it.
Yeah, I'm like, oh wait, this is fun. Hold on
a
second. But yeah, it's all energy, you know. So
I love that. That's cool.
Yeah. We got to show up
I
differently.
love that.
I think you get so stuck in like the day to day and like a routine and all of these things. Like it's almost like your feeling and your emotions are like constant, right? That you forget to feel those, like you forget to force yourself to feel positivity.
Right. Like you're just on autopilot. You don't really feel anything for a while. And then you're like, oh wait, I am a human.
What am I feeling right now?
Yeah.
Take your vitals.
Yeah. Gratitude's huge. We forget that. And I'm not in any way saying toxic positivity or, you know, forcing something if there's a real, you know, issue going on. But just not get in your way or having a bad day because traffic or something like that. Like
Right. Something
gratitude.
little.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people get overwhelmed with things or maybe like upset with things that they literally cannot control. So I forget what I was watching. It was a movie or something the other day, and the girl was giving another girl advice, and she was like, you literally cannot control that. Like you cannot control whether there's traffic in front of you happening at this very moment or not. So why don't you just sit back and like go through the motions, you know, like it's gonna be fine. You cannot do anything about it. Don't get your heart rate up.
Exactly. Don't give yourself wrinkles over it.
Right.
Okay.
Ooh, I'm gonna tell myself that.
Just reminders, small reminders.
Yeah. I love that. You're amazing.
You are great.
Thank you so much for coming on.
You.
Where can people find you if they want to hire you? How? Tell us all the things about yourself.
One way. Instagram's really the only place right now that I interact with potential clients. So you can find me at Morgan Plascencia. It's hard to, we're going to have to put that in show notes or something.
We'll put you,
we'll tag you.
It's a mouthful, you guys. But yeah, that's how clients get in touch with me.
And are you taking on new clients?
Right now, my books are full, but I have openings all the time. Like they could be full today, and next week could be someone's last week with me. So always just, put the word in, and we'll get you on a wait list for sure.
Perfect.
We love that. Thank you so much for coming on. And if you enjoyed this episode, please like, comment, subscribe.
All the things.
All the things. Thank you so much, Morgan.
Thank you.